On today's episode of WatchJRGo, it's time for the second engine in my cheap Escalade to start. I hope. What is going on, guys? I am WatchJRGo, and today we are back at O'Reilly's to buy the second round of fluids and filters to get this thing going again. It's unfortunate all the old fluids and filters did go away. The oil filter did do its job on that last engine we pulled out. The oil that came out was perfect. There was no glitter in it. Unfortunately, rod bearing down, but hey, it caught it all. Now, we just have to fill it all back up. What's going on, guys? All right, thanks, guys.
You have a good day.
I think we got all of our oil. Let's get back over there and hopefully start this thing up. Looks like we do things in here. And we're back with the cheap Escalade. We got parts. I even got a new drain plug because the other one was weeping a little bit. I think the other engine, nope, I didn't put one on there. All right, well, I got a new one for this one because it was weeping just a little bit from that drain plug hole down there. So that should solve that problem. And of course, we'll get that new oil filter on there. We're ready to fill this thing up with oil, grab some random bugs, get the radiator back on it. That's the thing, is I was like, we can start this without a radiator. You can't start this without a radiator because of the oil coolers and the transmission cooler. If you start it without that, it just blows all the fluid out. We could bypass them. There's a lot of options, but on this, you kind of have to put it all together before you can start it up. So hopefully by the end of the day, we got this all put together. Let's get to it. I'm way down here, but it looks like a complete engine again. It's always these last few minutes that make all the difference on the engine. The intake goes on, everything gets plugged in, and of course, I tried to show you guys as much of that as I could. It's actually just a tricky kind of shot to get. But for the most part, you got to see what was going on there. It's all bolted together, intake, torque down, all that good stuff. It takes a little bit of time to get all that done. It's finally cooling off outside. That's a huge bonus as well. Before we start this, we got to get the radiator in, so I'm going to do that right now. I just need to make sure I didn't forget anything. And I did. I forgot spark plug wires. Those are relatively important. I just noticed coils are on, so we need to do the spark plug wires. And that's it. As usual, we're not going to plug the coils in. We'll let it crank over a few times to build a little bit of oil pressure. Then we'll plug in the 2 coil packs, and it should, hopefully, rip to life. Let's find out. Oh, we did Google the injectors. They are E85 injectors. I don't know if I mentioned that in the last video, but I just noticed that I was looking at them. These are the correct injectors for an L94, so it does look like this engine was just DOD deleted at some point. Unfortunately, it's gonna permanently set a check engine light because it doesn't have the V-loam that controls all the oil running through to the lifters, so I gotta tune that out. So it works, you know, it'll use another one more mile per gallon, but it also won't break, so that's a bonus. Let's get it done. Look at that! Engine number 2. So we're calling this the third engine in this truck. Anyway, it is go time. We have arrived. So Eric showed up just in time to turn the key. I just filled it up with oil. Got a brand new oil filter on there with XP again, obviously. Everything should be hooked up except the coils, so we're gonna give it one good crank, something like that, plug in the coils, and hopefully she rips to life. 102 sensor's not in yet, so we'll have a slight exhaust leak, but it shouldn't be a rod knock this time, that's for sure. Let's go.
We have a clear path to push this out.
If there's a fire, we're gonna depend on that.
If it doesn't run right.
If it doesn't run right, it's gone. Yeah, absolutely. All right, hey, turn the wheel straight for me if you would. I have it all the way. Keep going, keep going. That's straight, roughly.
No power.
Yeah, I know, no power. Key off. Okay. Ooh, I hope the battery didn't die from just sitting.
Fofty.
It is fofty, I'll tell you that much. That's not a real word. Ooh.
Lights came on.
They did? Are they bright? They look pretty good. All right. Give her a twist, man. Give her a twist. It's not gonna start, but we'll look for oil pressure.
You can't.
I know, but go ahead. All right.
Sounds right.
It did sound better. Let's plug in the coils. I'm just gonna stand on the old alternator here. It's a great place to stand.
That Camaro across the street leaves.
Yeah, that Camaro just left. It was funny, he backed out and drove straight in the ditch. You know how he has that ditch that's like impossible to see? 67 Camaro in the ditch. All right, there's coil pack set to whatever. Oh!
Good thing you got bricks for tires.
Go again. Will Sheed blend. Come on, guys. Come on.
8 cylinders all the time.
Yeah, 8 cylinders all the time for sure. It sounds great. The exhaust leak is all I heard over here. Hit it again. It should run, even though it's going to be mad that we don't have the intake tube. Boy, that exhaust leak is intense. We better put...
What did you do last time to keep it running?
Oh, we might need to clear the codes, but it sounds pretty good. Yeah, I guess we could go to O'Reilly's and get an intake tube. Oh, it's trying to run. The engine's obviously very mad that it's measuring the air over here and nothing's going in. The intake tube was missing. I know a subscriber actually commented that I could have the intake tube. If you would, hit me up again. That would be awesome. I lost that comment, and I will hit you up if you have that little plastic elbow there. Woo! It runs and it sounds good. So I am excited about that. All we need to do now is get that O2 sensor in the hole and get a intake strung up here, and we should be good to go. So we might go try that right now. But for now, the fact that it runs and there's no rod knock is actually absolutely awesome. We could start putting the front end back together because basically everything else is done. So I'm gonna get under it, try to put in that passenger bank O2 sensor, and then maybe Jake has a full intake system. I'm just trying to think of how we can rig up an intake system without buying a Spectre. I don't want to do that because it's going to come back off and get a stock one. But either way, like as long as we connect it, it will run, and that's all that matters right now.
A few minutes later.
So we went to O'Reilly's, like I said, and bought every Spectre intake system they had to try to put something together, and none of it fits. This is for, obviously we knew from the beginning, this is for an old Escalade or Silverado. It doesn't have any of the provisions for that MAF because it has to be unbolted and moved. So Eric grabbed a piece of 3-inch PVC that we had back here behind the Escalade, and now we've got an intake. It's connected to the MAF. The engine should run. The O2 sensor's in. Everything is back together. There might be some rattling here. Hopefully nothing falls down, but I think we're ready to turn the key for real. And it should run. And then we can fill it with coolant. Everything else is full. We checked the oil again after we started it. Oil is looking good. We'll check the transmission fluid. We'll check everything, but let's turn the key. If it starts and maintains an idle, I'm gonna be happy.
Pretty good intake.
Pretty good intake. I do appreciate it. Runs perfect. I did read the codes, and it does have every code set for DOD. We cleared it. Let's start it back up. No check engine light. And it should come right back. It looks like we lost the engine oil pressure sensor. That's great. 0523, engine oil pressure sensor switch high. That exhaust leak kind of disappeared. I bet it's the back of the manifold. I looked, I didn't see any leaks there. I didn't see any carbon. So I was like, we're good. I don't need to check the bolts. I'm an idiot. So I don't hear that leak anymore.
It's still leaking.
Oh, can you feel it? But all the codes we have are cylinder 1467 deactivation. So I will tune those out, and the check engine light will be.
Driver's side.
Driver's side? That's the one that always leaks. I gotta put the clamp back there. Give them the clamps! Anyway, that thing's like $15. We'll get that sorted. All right, let's turn this thing off.
Miner, when it heated up and expanded, it got quiet.
It did, it shut up. And they always do after a couple, 30 seconds of running, the exhaust leak goes away.
You can tell it's not on the passenger side, you can tell it's on the...
Oh yeah.
I'm sure it's one of the, I'm sure it's just pushing the air on the manifold.
It's always the driver's side. That's the one that leaks. All right, awesome success so far. Let's put some coolant in this thing and it can finally run for more than a few seconds. So super pumped. We got our coolant fill. We've got a bucket set up to fill this thing with coolant. Let's dump it in. There you go, half the front end is put back together. We got the core support in, started bolting, all that's bolted in already, ready to rock and roll. The coolers are back where they belong. The hood latch back where it belongs. Hopefully it's lined up on the witness marks. I hope it fits right. AC machine's hooked up. It's time to vacuum this thing down. Put it on a deep vacuum, leak check it, see if we need to change any O-rings, anything like that. Make sure it holds vacuum all night. I'm gonna leave it on all night. And hopefully tomorrow we're back with a factory intake. This does work, but it does not provide the breather that it needs to be metered air into the breather, and we don't have a hose there. We could do it, and we could leave that in there because it's hilarious and it works perfectly. And honestly, it's kind of ideal. But the factory air intake provides a place to mount the radiator hose, a bunch of stuff like that. So obviously we got a few more things to put in, and it all depends on having the factory parts if you want it to be right. But that is tomorrow's WatchJRGo problem. Huge shout out to all of you guys that stuck with the Escalade project. I mean, honestly, I got $8,000 in an Escalade that's pretty new and completely loaded. So it's still an okay deal, but the amount of work was staggering. Shout out to all you guys that stuck with me till the end on this. And Tyler came over earlier and was like, I really hope this one works for you. And I was like, if it doesn't work, we're gonna put the forks on the tractor and we're gonna drive the tractor through this Escalade. It would have been the end of it. No, I probably would have sold it and said, needs engine. But that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I am super excited. I hope you guys can tell this rocks. I think we're gonna put a hitch on this, take it to the lake and use it to put the boat in so we don't have to move trucks around and change hitch balls. And it's a whole rigmarole every time we wanna move this because we're usually pulling something much bigger up there and the boat is tiny and this is perfect. Anyway, like I said, that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to head on over to shop.watchjrgo.com for cool shirts, not like this. And please like, share, subscribe, do whatever you want to do. And I will talk to you next time. Since I'm here, I better throw this engine back on the pallet, get it back to LKQ because they need a core back. And then hopefully they have that intake in the Wichita warehouse. I don't know if they will. It's probably going to be like a Topeka or a OKC kind of thing, but I really hope they have a factory intake because I can't find one anywhere else and I need it stat. I could be driving this tonight if I had an air intake. It'd be done. It's holding negative 30 inches of mercury. Hopefully it holds all night. I set the needle markers all the way down. We'll see if it moves in the morning. Until then, I'm headed off to drop off the second engine. And I'm super excited to have the shop cleaned out.